This is the solution to problem E, Codeforce's last token round lost array, which is the problem's name. So the problem is an interactive problem, and in the problem we have an hidden array and we have to find the XOR sum of the array, which is the XOR of all of the elements. And to find that out, we can do some queries, and the nature of the queries is that we can provide the judge k distinct indices which are positions in the array, and the judge will tell us the output of the XOR sum of those elements. So if we provide it, say, inputs 1, 3 and 4, we can do this if k is 3. So we have to provide exactly k distinct indices. The judge will respond with a1 XOR, a3 XOR, a4. So whatever the indices which we provided, the judge will XOR them, the elements at that indices, and it will return us the output. We are supposed to find the XOR of the entire array, and we have to do it in the minimum possible queries. So not only do we have to do it, we have to do it in the most efficient way. Also, it is not possible to do it every single time, so we have to output -1 if it's not possible immediately. Otherwise, we have to tell what's the XOR sum of the whole array. So before starting, we should see some important properties about XOR sums and the bitwise XOR operation in general. So the XOR of an element with itself, of any integer with itself, is 0. So this is the first property which is of interest to us, that the XOR of an element with itself is 0, and the XOR of an element with 0 is that element. So if we XOR an element with itself, it's 0. If we XOR an element with 0, it's that element. For more information about XOR, you can click on this Wikipedia article which will tell you in detail. So these two things give us this result, that if we have many elements and we have XORing them up, so let's say we have B, let's say we have C, and if we have A again, also the order does not matter in a XOR sum like in a sum. So we can take these two first and we can rearrange them, the XOR will not change. So we have these two A's, so let's take their XOR first. So the XOR of this A and the XOR of this A is 0, because the XOR of the same elements is 0, and the XOR of that with the other elements is the XOR of those elements. So we can actually cancel elements in pairs. So if we have, let's say, 6 times the same element, we can make groupings of 2 and they are zeros, and the XOR of 0 with anything is that element itself. So taking XOR with 0 does not change anything, so we can just neglect 0 altogether. So if we have lots of elements, the only thing which matters is the number of times they have occurred in the XOR sum. So if A has occurred twice, it's as good as saying A has not occurred at all. Or if B, let's say, has occurred thrice, it has occurred 3 times, then we can take 2 B's together and cancel them out. It's as good as saying that B has occurred only once. So the presence of an element in the XOR sum is only dependent on that element's parity of occurrence. So whether it has occurred an odd number of times or an even number of times. So these two things together will help us solve this problem. So to solve this problem, we somehow have to take the XOR sum of all elements such that each element occurs an odd number of times. I don't say exactly once because it may not be possible to do it that way. If k is a divisor of n, then it's apparent that you can just split the array into parts of size k and then just take a queries over all of them, then XOR them all together, and every element will occur once. But in general, we want every element to occur an odd number of times in the final XOR sum. So if we somehow keep taking queries and keep XORing them together, finally we want every element to occur an odd number of times. And if we can do that in the minimum possible queries, then we should do it. So how to do this? Consider a graph with n plus 1 nodes. So the nodes of the graph represent how many occurrences we have had in the array. So initially in the queries, so initially we have all elements and we don't know the XOR sum of anything. So we'll say it's 0 because 0 is the identity element for the XOR operation, and every element has occurred in the XOR sum 0 number of times, which is an even number of times. So the nodes of the graph will tell you how many elements have occurred in the XOR sum an odd number of times. So initially we are at state 0, which means that all elements have occurred even number of times. So if there are j elements which have occurred an odd number of times in the current XOR sum, then we have for sure n minus j elements which have occurred an even number of times in the current XOR sum, because the total number of elements is n. So initially we start off with 0. So we are at state 0, which means that all elements have occurred an even number of times, or there are 0 elements which have occurred an odd number of times. Now what happens when we make a query? So let's say we make a query such that the query has x elements which have already occurred an odd number of times. The query must have k minus x elements which have occurred an even number of times, because the size of the query is k. So when we query them and we take the XOR sum, the parity changes, because earlier we had taken them an odd number of times. Now we are taking them once more in the query. So now they have occurred an even number of times. So this is odd, the left hand side is odd and the right hand side is even. So if j elements have occurred an odd number of times and we make a query in which we take x of those elements, now we have j minus x elements which have occurred an odd number of times plus k minus x elements, because the parity will change. Similarly here, this value n minus j, this will get decreased by k minus x and increased by x. So this is what happens when we make a query. So we go from some state j to other state this for some value of x, such that this j minus x is not negative. We must have at least x elements which have occurred an odd number of times to make this transition. So from the state 0, we can make, from any state j, not 0, we can make this transition. So for values of x which range from 0 to k, and j not greater than j obviously, and this also, that n minus j minus k minus x, this must also be greater than 0. So if we check out all the conditions, these are the transitions which we can make. So if we do a query such that in that query we take x elements which have already occurred an odd number of times, we must be taking k minus x elements which have already occurred an even number of times, and when we make that query, the state of those elements change. It does not matter what those elements are, but the state changes like this. So what our aim is we are starting off with the state 0 and we want to go to state n, where every element has occurred an odd number of times. So this, and the cost of this operation is one query, because we made a query of this x and k minus x. So the weight of each edge is 1. Each edge corresponds to a query and each node corresponds to the state, which tells you the number of elements which have occurred in the current XOR sum an odd number of times. So we start off with 0. Our aim is to reach n in the minimum possible queries, which is the shortest path from 0 to n in this graph, and that can be evaluated using any BFS or the Dijkstra's algorithm. So what we are going to do is, first we are going to construct this graph. The jth node of this graph, the graph is going to have n plus 1 nodes from 0 to n. The jth node corresponds to the state where j elements have occurred in the XOR sum an odd number of times. N minus j elements would have occurred an even number of times. We don't need to maintain a separate dimension for it because the total size is n. And our aim is to transition from the state 0 to the state n in minimum possible edges if possible. It may show that it's not possible, but we don't have to think whether it's possible or not. The pathfinding algorithm will tell us. So let's see how to do this in code. So this is my code. So let's see. This is the Dijkstra's algorithm. I'll use it after I have made the graph. So the graph is a graph of pair of integers and integers, which is ID and weight. And this is the standard Dijkstra's algorithm. You can look it up. Any pathfinding BFS algorithm will work. Next up, this is a function for the query. So it will do a query. So for the query, you have to tell the k indices. So I'm using 0 based indices. That's why it's qi plus 1 here. And the size must be k. So I have asserted that. Then this adds an edge to the graph. So the weight of the edge is 1 because it takes one query to get from one node to another. This is the function which answers the final answer. And this is there is only one test case. So this is the code. So first off, we start with making the graph. This state variable, state vector, will tell us the parity of each, the parity of occurrence of each element. So whenever I make a query here, I XOR it with 1, which means that the qith element has occurred this number of times. The parity of that is this. So if I XOR it with 1, the last bit gets flipped. Initially, this array is initialized to 0 because all of the elements have occurred an even number of times, which happens to be 0. But whenever you make a query, the parity flips. That's why we XOR it with 1. So this is the states. The states are from 0 to n. And as I have mentioned, and this is my standard which I am using, that ith state corresponds to the number of odd occurrence elements is I. So odd is I, even has to be n minus I because the total number is n. And this j is the number of this. So which was j here, x here actually. So I should have used j here maybe. But this x is this j. So the number of elements I'm going to take from odd. I have to take k minus j from even. So if I take j from odd, the new odd is going to be odd minus j. The new even is going to be even minus k minus j. And this is some formula which is j, just j in terms of odd and new odd, because this is going to help me in the future. Now if the new odd is less than 0 and new even is less than 0, then we cannot make this transition. We cannot take what does not exist. And then we add these. So what we got from even we add to new odd, and what we got from the old odd we add to new even. So these are our new variables. And I don't need to keep track of even because I know if odd is some x, even is n minus x because the total number is n. So we just add this edge. I have made this assertion although it's not required. So we add an edge from this odd to this odd. That means we can make this transition. We have checked everything that this is not negative and this is positive, although we don't need to check this because this is already non-negative. So adding some positive number is not going to make it negative, but it's just there. So here we have made this graph. So this is the most important part. If you understand how to make this graph, then the problem is easy. So you make the transitions by considering some elements from even, some elements from odd. The total of them must be k because that's what the problem states, and so on. So we run Dijkstra at the 0th node and we have to go to n. So in my Dijkstra's algorithm, I initialize every distance to the int max, which is the largest value integers can hold. And if the distance is still int max, which means that it's virtually impossible. So if the distance is infinite, then we cannot go there. So distance of n, if it is int max, which means that we cannot get to the final edge, which means it's impossible to do this for this particular values of n and k. We print -1 and we return. But if it is possible to get there, so this Dijkstra's algorithm also stores the previous value for all indices. So from the start node, it tells you the minimum distance of every node, and it also for every node tells you the previous node from where you arrived here. So if you want to get a path from start to some other node, you can just keep back tracing tree, which is done here. So we make a vector of path and we go back and then we just reverse this path. So now we have a path, and each edge of this path corresponds to one query, and now we must do those queries actually because we have to solve this problem. The size of this path will be the number of nodes, so that -1 would be the number of edges, and that would be the number of queries this program is going to make. And that is the best possible way of doing it because we have considered all possible transitions and we have run a minimum pathfinding algorithm. So there are no loose ends. This is going to work. Next up, we have the answer, which is the XOR sum. So we are guaranteed to have all elements occurring odd number of times and odd number of times. So that's good. So the old odd is path of I minus 1. So this is just one edge which is between path of I minus 1 to path of I. This j which tells us how many elements from odd I took. So I use this here. This is the number of elements I have to take from the odd set, which means from elements which have occurred an odd number of times, and this is the number of elements which I have to take from the even set, the elements which have occurred an even number of times. Now how do I keep track of how this happens, which elements have occurred an odd number of times and which elements have occurred an even number of times? I do that using this state vector. So whenever I make a query, I XOR it with 1. So this tells me whether, if the state is 1, which means that it has occurred an odd number of times already. If the state is 0, which means that it has occurred an even number of times already. The state is initially 0 for all of them. And these all transitions are going to be meaningful. We are always going to get these many odd numbers and these many numbers from the odd packet and these many numbers from the even packet, because we have made sure of that while making the graph. This is always going to be going to work. So we just push it into this vector. We take OD, odd numbers from the odd packet, and we take EV, even numbers from the even packet. We have found this out using the transitions, and then we XOR it with the answer. Finally we answer it. Answer of answer is just printing it. So it just prints the answer and it just exits the program altogether. So let's submit it. So a brief recap of what we did was that we first understood that XORing with the same element is 0, XORing with 0 is 1, so the only parity matters. And then we thought of a graph where the jth element corresponds to the number of elements which have occurred an odd number of times in our current XOR sum. And then we made the transitions, where we can go to meaningful transitions, not negative ones. And then since we have considered all possible outcomes, we just run a minimum path finding algorithm on that graph, and that algorithm will help us get from this state to this state in the minimum number of queries. And then this is how we implemented it, and as you can see that it's accepted. So thank you for watching.